Okay, now before we go into this part of almost 13 marks, we have to understand other things. I will have to cover up many of the topics of what is subcontrary, what is contrary, what is subalternation, what is contradictory. This is basically from the opposition of proposition chapter. Then what is converse and obverse? What is obverted converse? What is full contrapositive? What is partial contrapositive? What is full inverse and partial inverse? This is also from our elementary logic textbook. So I'll be covering all of them. But before that, I'll give you a quick understanding of shortcut methods to be used to convert from one type to another type. Alright, so we'll continue from here on. Let's go into right. So we checked out some poets are not Spartans. The subcontrary and contrary we have done. We have checked it out, how it works. Let's look at some popes are saints. In the same diagram, some popes are saints. Then it will become no saints are no popes are saints. Here it will become some popes are saints, and in the O it will become some popes are not saints. Alright, so now excuse me, some popes are saints, we have to give subaltern. Now we know that some popes are saint is the I proposition. It is the I proposition. Now we have to give subaltern. So subaltern would be A proposition. So our answer would be all popes are saints. This will be the subaltern for the some popes are saints. That will get converted to the A proposition, which is all popes are saints. Okay. Now the other is the contradictory. Now in this, the contradictory is the E. So that also can be done. So we can write contradictory, no popes are saints. And this is so easy, we can get very easily 2 marks for this. Next, no spoiled children are attractive. No spoiled children are attractive. Assuming the given proposition to be false. This is not true. So this is supposed to be false. Okay. State the truth value of its contrary. Now we'll have to go back to the table to check out for the contraries. So if A is true, E must be false. But if A is false, E can be either true or false. So if E is false, in this case, they mentioned in the exam paper, E is false. Now let us just check what proposition it is first of all. No spoiled children. So this is, of course, no means it's universal negative. So this is E proposition, and it is not a true value. It is a false value. Now if we go here to the table and we see that E is false, A can be true or A can also be false. We can very clearly see here, if E must be false. Okay, so here E can either be true or false, and since it is false, we have to also consider A as false, because we have already stated that both cannot be true but both can be false. In contraries, both A and E cannot be true together but both can be false together. And since they have told us to find the false, we have said that assuming the given proposition to be false, state the truth value of its contrary. The truth value of its contrary is false. So the way to write this is, okay, now how do we understand this is that we'll use a Venn diagram here. So we have spoiled children and attractive. Okay, so we have two categories, attractive and spoiled children. Now they are saying no. No means it is a E proposition. E proposition. Okay, now when it is a E proposition, as per Venn diagram, they are both completely inclusive and exhaustive as well. Now they are saying that this is not true. Here it is mentioned that assume that this is false, meaning there is some kind of overlap. So it's saying that between SC and A there is some kind of overlap. Okay, now if there is a overlap, if there was no overlap, okay, if there was no overlap, then this is valid, this is true. But if this is false, because it's stated here it's false, so if it is false, then there is an overlap. Now if there is an overlap, this makes the universal affirmative A proposition also invalid. So here the statement would be some spoiled children are attractive, right? Here it would become some spoiled children are attractive, whereas the contrary proposition is all spoiled children are attractive. This is A proposition. Okay, all spoiled children are attractive. This is A proposition. Whereas it is not matching with this. Even if considering that this is false, okay, that is they are both connected, some are there, A is not true. Therefore A is false. That is why I say that the truth value of its contrary, that is A, is false. This is all that we have to do in this particular part. We can write down the A proposition. We can also write down if it is false, what does it mean? It means there is an overlap. Normally in the E proposition there is no overlap. They are both distinct and separate. But when it's a false value, it means there is some kind of overlap. I hope this was clear. Next, let's move on to the next one. Some Marxians are socialists. Now you have to do converse and obverse. Now for this I have a very simple shortcut method which will be very useful for all of you. Let's go through that. There are certain rules to convert from converse or from original or normal statement to its converse, obverse, obverted converse, its contrapositive, partial and full, and its inverse, partial and full. So these are all conversions that we need to know of for our exams, and this is very simple. I am saying that again with very confidence that once you know a certain tricks, then it becomes very easy for conversion. Very minimal you will have to remember or memorize. There's nothing to memorize also, it's just like a puzzle. So take it as a puzzle and let's solve this. Okay, now what is a converse? What are the obverse, obverted converse, contrapositive, partial full, and inverse partial full? Now there are techniques for each of the conversion type. Okay, so I'll tell you, we'll go slowly, we'll go gradually into each of the conversion type. Let's start with the converse first. It's the most simple. We just need to know two conversions. Okay, and we just need to know two conversions, converse and obverse only. What are the techniques of this? Let's start with the converse. So let us, I'll show you very easy technique first, a shortcut. So let us say we have subject and predicate. Okay, in a any statement, any type of proposition, we have a subject and a proposition. So let's say all S is P. Okay, so this is the A proposition. Now the technique to convert to or move it to a converse proposition, move it to a converse, is very simple. We replace the subject in the converse with the predicate, that is S becomes, this P becomes here and S moves into the place of the predicate. That's it. And there is one more rule for converse, for the A proposition type. So first, this is interchange for all of them, all type of propositions, whether you are doing it from A or E or I. For all conversion types, you need to interchange the subject and predicate in a converse. This you should remember. Okay. Now there are certain rules. One, this is fixed for all of them, all conversions of the converse type. Okay. Now A will get converted into the I type. If you want to do converse of A, it will only go to the I type. Okay, and I says, what is the I? Sum P is S. Okay, now let's look at the Venn diagram. So this is a valid conversion. Now let us look at the Venn diagram. So all S is P, and then they are saying here some P, because we can see that there are some P's in the S. This is entire P, and there are some P in the S also, because it's a part of that. Okay, so it is valid. So both are valid conversion. So this is how you convert from A to I. Now the rule here is A gets converted to I, E gets converted to E, it remains in E only, except for, as I told you, the subject becomes the predicate and predicate becomes the subject. Okay, same for here, predicate and subjects are interchanged. I proposition remains in I proposition and predicate subjects are interchanged. O is not valid. Conversion to O is not valid, or to any other thing is not valid. So we have to remember that for converse, only 3 conversions are possible. Out of that, A goes to I, E remains in E, I remains in I, and subject and predicate are interchanged in the converse. So let us look at the example here. All dogs are mammals. So what happened is A became, this is A proposition. A went to I proposition. Some are is a I proposition. Dogs was a subject. It became predicate in the converse. And mammals was predicate. It became the subject in the converse. Very simple. Take your time, go through this. Don't hurry up. Now, if we want to convert, this we did for A. Let me go to a new page. Alright, let me open up a new blank sheet. Okay, so for A type, let me write it down. A moves to I. This is a converse, right? We are doing converse. From normal, from a given proposition, we are doing a converse first. So A moves to I. E, next is the E proposition. E moves to E. E remains in E only. I remains in I. I'll explain what is happening. And O is not possible. O to O is also not possible. Nothing is possible. So basically, it's not possible. All right. Now, the original would have subject first and then predicate, right? Now, in converse, it gets interchanged. It becomes predicate and subject. So let's take an example here. Do we have a question here for conversion offers? Okay, so they have given us a statement called some Marxians are socialist. So let's take that only. Some Marxians are socialist. Ignore the spelling error if there are any. So this is one normal statement. Okay, we don't know what type it is. So let's check first what type it is. Some are, which means it is, take a guess quickly. Some are means it is I proposition. Okay, so let's move this to the I proposition type. Now, if you want to convert from I to I, because this is a normal statement. Now, they can tell us to do converse of this only. Okay, so I can be converse to I only. So how do we do that? We write some, because we have to remain in the I proposition. We write say some. Now, socialist are Marxians. This is the rule I explained. The subject becomes the predicate. The subject here, we can see subject has become the predicate, and the predicate of the original has become the subject of the converse. Rest all remains same because we have to keep it in the I proposition only. Now, assuming that same, we'll take the same thing and let's put it in the E proposition type and then solve it for E proposition. Let's say they had given us no Marxians are socialist. They had given this instead of this one. They had given us no Marxians are socialist. So how will we convert this? So E will remain in E. So if E has to remain in E, it will start with no only, but subject predicate will be interchanged. So socialist are Marxians. It's as simple as this. No rocket science in this. Very simple. Now let us check it for A proposition type also. I'm going in a lot of detail and covering all different types of combinations so that you can solve every type of questions that can come. It is not necessary that they will give you some Marxians are socialist only. They can give you all Marxians are socialist also and tell you to do converse. So to do converse of A type, you have to convert it to I type. I is some socialist, because we have to interchange subject and predicate. Remember, some socialists are Marxians. Okay, so now we have converted all of them. So they can give you A and you have to convert it to I. If they give you E, you have to let it remain in E only, but interchange the subject and predicate. Similarly is for the I proposition. If they give you I proposition, which is some Marxians are socialist, you have to keep it in the I proposition, interchanging the subjects and the predicate. All right. So I've given you very simple here diagram. So normal is SRP. In converse, it becomes PRS. Okay. Now, if it had been A proposition, it would have got converted to I proposition. If it had been E proposition, it would have gone to E. It would have remained in E only. And if it had been I proposition, it would remain in I proposition. So A goes to I, E goes to E, I goes to I only. Except the predicate and the subjects are interchanged. I hope I have made it very, very simple. Yet if you do not understand, do comment in the video section and I'll see how I can help you out. Alright, so we have covered the entire converse of A, E, I. O is not possible, as I mentioned earlier. Okay. What else have they told us? They also told us to convert it in obverse, the same thing. So now any statement they will give you, we can very easily, you will be able to convert to converse of any type of statements, from A to I, E to E, I to I. O is not possible in converse. Remember this. And subject and predicate are interchanged. I have repeated this almost fourth or fifth time now for the converse. So just that you get a hang of it. Now obverse. How do we convert to obverse? The whole thing. Now same thing they've given us. Now what are the rules? First we need to know, before we do conversion, for the obverse, what are the rules? What are the rules? Okay. In this, so the original, let us say original is A proposition type. So all S is P, for example. All S is P. So this is A type, A proposition, original. Now they are telling us to do the obverse of this, okay, of A type. Now first thing we need to remember is, in this obverse, is that A can be obversed, that is original. The original can be obversed, A type original can be obversed only in E type. So when A original goes to E, it becomes obverse. Okay, 1A. So A goes to E. Let me just write it down properly here. For A goes to E type and E goes to A type. Interchange. I goes to O type and O goes to I type. This is the first basic thing that we need to remember for obverse. Second thing we need to remember is that the subject and the predicate are not interchanged. They remain as it is. So here it will be S and here it will be P. If this is the original, for example, and we have to do obverse of this. Okay. So in the obverse, when you are doing obverse of A to E, the subject and predicate will remain at their place or everywhere. Okay. Now what additional things come here is, we know that A will be going into E, so all will become no. This we know. E will become A. Okay, so E would be no and no will become all. E proposition is no S is P. No S is P, E proposition. That will be going into A type, because it's written here clearly. E gets converted to A type. So all S is P. I is some. Okay. So it will become, here it will become, so one will become no, then it will be some are and some are not. So rest all S is P will remain, all of that. This you know. Okay, because we are almost like in the 2.5 hours or 3 hours. So I'm sure if you come till here, you should know all of these. So I is some. Some S, all S, no S. These are all conversions we are doing, okay? So some S, I is some are. So when we convert it to O, some are not. Since we have written is, we'll go with is. Some S is not P. Okay. So this is how we convert. All S are P. know as RP. And here O is some are not. So that is to be converted to, oh, sorry, that is to be moved to obverse. So if it is to be moved to obverse, it will go into I type. So some S R P. Now I have deliberately left a line here to make you understand the third rule. The third rule is that the predicate is replaced by its complement. Complement means it's negation. So P non P. So we just write non P, non P, non P, and non P. So this is how all types of original statement can be converted, can be moved to its obverse using these rules. So the first rule, I'll just recap. A goes to E, E moves to for the obverse. If this is the E is the original, then obverse would be A type. If the original is I type, then the obverse is O type. And if the original is O type, then the obverse is I type. This is the first rule. Second rule is that the if the original is subject predicate, okay, this is all original column. This is the original column, and this is the obverse column. Okay, in the obverse, the subject and predicate are not interchanged. Okay, so they will remain like subject and predicate only, except that the predicate is replaced by its complement, that is non-P. That is all. That is all you need to remember. So A goes to E, subject remains where it is, the predicate is replaced by its complement. Okay, E goes into A, original E goes into obverse A, and subject remains as it is and predicate is replaced by its complement. I is the original. If we want to do obverse of this, we have to move it into the O preposition type. Subject will remain as it is. The predicate will be replaced by its complement, that is non-P. O is the original type. If you want to do obverse of the O, we have to move it to the I type, and subject will remain the same and the predicate will be replaced by its non-complement. So I have explained in great detail how to do obverse. Once again, I am sure you will understand, but in case if you have still some doubt, then do let me know in the comment section. I'll see how I can help you. All right. So we did the obverse, we did the converse, we did the obverse also. For the converse, the rule was, we'll just recap. A went to I. A is the original proposition, and if you want to do converse of A, it will move into I proposition. Subject and predicate will be interchanged. That is all. E will remain in E proposition, but subject and predicate will be interchanged. I will remain in I, subject and predicate will be interchanged. This is very simple rule for converse, only two parts. In obverse, there are three rules. Okay, and O is not converse cannot happen for the O type proposition. All right, now let's move to the actual question paper. So we did the converse and we did the obverse also. If some Marxians are socialist, what will be the obverse of this? Let's do that. Okay, we know that this is a O type. Sorry, this is not a O type, this is I type. I type of proposition. Okay, this is the I type of proposition. Some Marxians are socialist. This is the I type of proposition. Now if you want to do converse of this first, or let's do the obverse because we have already done the converse. But yet let's do the obverse first, and then maybe we'll recap with the converse also. So obverse, for obverse we have few rules. One is the I type proposition, I type moves to O type. We saw earlier, this was the first rule. For obverse, first rule is I type goes to O type. Second rule is the predicate, subject and predicate remains at their place, and only the predicate is replaced by its complement. That is, for example would be living being will be converted to its complement as non-living being. Okay, dogs, non-dogs, trees, non-trees. This is all we need to remember for time being. So this is the second part of it. First we convert I to O type, and then keep the subject and predicate at their place, but replace the predicate with its complement. So now let's solve this. So first we convert it to O type. So here some Marxians are socialist. So some Marxians are not socialist. So this we have first converted, we have completed the first part. We have converted I to O type here. Next step is to replace the predicate. In this case the predicate is the socialist. So we have to replace the predicate by its complement. So very simply we replace the predicate with non-socialist. So some Marxians, this is a tongue twister for me. Marxians are not non-socialist. That's it, it's done. Obverse is done. Now if you want to do converse of this, the steps were, first, since this is the I type will be moved to I type only. Okay, it will remain in I type. Second rule is that subject and predicate are interchanged in the converse. Okay, when we are doing converse, subject and predicate are interchanged in that. That's it, 2 rules. For obverse also 2 rules, for converse also 2 rules. Okay, in this I remains in I, so let's convert. So I is, some Marxians are socialist. Here at the top you can see this. Okay, some Marxians are socialist. So how do we convert this? We'll convert it like this. Some, let me just scroll down so we can see both of them. Some Marxians so in this we have to interchange the predicate and the subject. So some socialists are Marxians. That's it. This is as simple as this, the converse part. Okay, let me just unzoom this so that everything can come on one page. So I type remains in I for converse, but for the obverse it goes into the O type. So this we have completed this question. It's very simple. As I told you, just need to understand the puzzle as to how to solve it, the steps. That's it, 2 steps for each one of them.